Hi, this is Russ Terry, the founder and CEO of Life Coach Radio Networks. Today's sponsor is Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free audiobook when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/lifecoachradio. That's audibletrial.com/lifecoachradio. And now, here's today's show.
Hello and good afternoon to everybody out there in International Life Coach Radio Network's listeners. My name is Rod Beaumont, and I am a new presenter here on Life Coach Radio Network. And I'm really looking forward to our discussion this afternoon. We are going to be having a guest with us, a very special guest, and that is Ani from Manchester. We're going to be discussing why it matters. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in coaching for about 25 to 30 years and have traveled all over the world being able to make sure that my clients and cultures are blended in such a way that I can maximize the potential of those that I am working with. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more, go ahead to Life Coach Radio and look up my profile there and send me some messages. So anyway, let's get on with the show. And I would like to go ahead and welcome my guest. And Ani, would you like to, first of all, introduce yourself to our audience this evening?
Hey, Rod, thank you. And first, good evening to you from Manchester. So, Rod, let me introduce myself in three sections first, yeah. The first being, who am I? Then what do I do? And why do I do it? And I'm doing it this way so that I can do the first parts quickly. Third part about why do I do it could be slightly longer, but that can nicely connect to your theme, why it matters. Is that okay?
That sounds really great, Ani. And so let's start off. Well, who are you?
Well, my name is Ani Kaprekar. Actually, I'm referred as Ani. My full name is Aniruddha, very distinct Indian heavy name. But I think it will be hard to pronounce for yourself, a lot of my Western friends, and also your listeners. So it's short and sweet, Ani Kaprekar.
Great.
I live in Manchester, UK, and I'm a life coach, executive coach, mentor, and a storyteller. I have clients within UK and many clients spread across the world who connect to me over Skype, FaceTime, and all the technological gizmos.
Excellent. Okay, so exactly what do you do from rainy Manchester?
As I mentioned, Rod, I coach and mentor people and businesses in primarily three areas. I have a lot of corporate clients within UK, so I work with lots of CXO and IT and change leadership, do a lot of consultancy and coaching. I also work with a lot of small businesses. So the clients are typically founders of small businesses, the directors, CEOs of, and it's all about growing their businesses, growing their leadership potential, developing leadership capability. I also work with individuals, people like you and me and everyone else. So I work with their life goals, their aspirations, their issues, right from stress, anxiety, identity, motivation. And see, with all this set of clients, may it be corporate, small businesses, and individuals, what I help people is to align their life to who they are. Why does it matter to them, subject that you are discussing today, and actually finding their true potential, and building exciting stories for their life. So this actually is in line with your program, why it matters. So basically, I help them to identify who they are and make that their passion for life.
Excellent. That sounds like it's really exciting.
It is, thank you. Yeah. And
you mentioned there that you work with people, individuals, small businesses, and corporate clients throughout the world.
Yeah.
How can they contact you? If our listeners are listening right now, how can they actually contact you? Have you put this on our chat board yet?
In fact, just as I was connecting on the show, I have given my email address and also my website, which is www.banyantreeanswers.co.uk. So your listeners can contact me, going by website or contacting me directly on the email. Yeah.
That's great. And just in case you're listening and you do want to call in, then the number here is, if you're international, 1-347-637-1960. I'll say that again, 1-347-637-1960. And we really would appreciate it if you would participate in this. So, Ani, getting back to what you do, I also understand that you have a really powerful Facebook page.
I do, Rod. Yeah, thank you. Actually, I run a Facebook page by the same brand name, Banyan Tree Answers. And it's been 10 months, Rod, and it's building quite well.
Excellent. So exactly what is it then that you are promoting with us this evening?
I'll basically talk about the subject that you chosen, why it matters. And actually, it's lined with what I do on my Facebook as well, Facebook page, which is my initiative, to spread the spirit of curiosity, compassion, and self-discovery. And as you know, self-discovery is something that you search for, that why does it matter, I've been doing this through my Facebook page a lot. Every day I share a lot of insights. These are not quotable quotes, they are deeply researched insights from a lot of people that I read, my own writings, because I write, couplets, poems. And over the last 10 months, I have connected to so many people across the world, from US to UK, Algeria to Azerbaijan, Bangladesh to Botswana, Bhutan to Bolivia, and even Madagascar,
That sounds great. And I see here you say that you usually spend at least 2 to 3 hours doing this, contacts.
Yeah, every day I spend about 2 to 3 hours, or I give about 4 or 5 hours on Sunday, because I do it with a sense of responsibility, that I'm not just publishing some quotes, which fancy somebody's attention. It is in a particular theme. So it is insights and learnings from life. So this is my journey, which I'm sharing humbly with all people, and the response is great.
Cool. Wonderful. And I know personally, having known you for over a year now, how dedicated you really are to working with people and understanding people. So let me ask you, bearing that in mind, why do you actually do this? What is the motivation for you to be doing this?
Rod, the way I see it actually as part of my process as a construct as a person and my journey as well,
Okay.
Now, broadly speaking, Rod, I see myself to be a sort of combination of 5 things, okay? The first is my core, which is spiritual, and that's my being. It has nothing to do with any doing. It's my journey of just being. It's my meditation. It sounds any religion, so I'm more spiritual and not religious. So obviously, that's the spiritual quest. I will not get into details of it.
Cool.
I'm also equally drawn to science, because it gives it a different language and interpretation of universe. So it completes that entire spiritual mind, body, soul circle. So that's number 1. Number 2 is my upbringing. As you know, I was born in India, so I grew up with cultural diversity, rich ancient culture, stories, vibrance, colors, and all the excesses, and all the problems and issues related to that. And now I have spent large part of my life in Western world, with progressive society, with tolerant dialogue, respect for privacy. So it's a nice blend of native and local culture. So that's number 2 that goes in the making.
Yeah.
The third is my erstwhile career, because I've been doing now this coaching, mentoring for the last few years. Before that, 25 years I was in IT and change leadership. I started at a very bottom rung in India and then rose up to many levels very fast. I've led large organizations, big transformation and change projects across the world. I think I was very lucky to lead and also to learn from some wonderful people across continents, So that's number 3.
Yep.
Number 4 is, of course, my artistic connection. As you know, I do a lot of theater activities here in the UK, did a lot of arts and film stuff in India. I have also a certification in filmmaking. I did some TV as well, and now in the UK, I keep it alive. So I write poems, I direct plays, I act, and all that helps in my blending with my clients, storytelling. It works well. And finally, fifth one is coaching. Yeah, and now coaching is basically gives me a framework. It gives me a language, a platform, a sort of strong wraparound of all the things I have said before. So I can bring it all together and practice as my profession. So this all comes together, and it matters to me as my journey. Yeah.
That is really amazing, because you really do inspire people. I know that when I have worked with you in the past, your understanding of different cultures really does bring something different to the table, especially in the coaching situation. Do you consciously blend East and West, if you like, or is it just that because of your experiences, it comes naturally to you?
I think maybe in the initial days it was a bit conscious, and then I quickly dropped it. It became, unconscious. It's a natural blend. I think it has all to do with what intention I operate with. So I operate with pure intentions of helping clients, and that guides me. That brings all together. So if I'm conscious, then that will stay at forefront. I keep my intention of helping my clients at forefront, and that guides me.
That's great. And what response are you getting from your clients when you're able to bring this really myriad of different techniques and experiences to the table for them? How are they reacting to this?
I think the first unique experience and response that I get is they instantly tell me that I sound different, I interact differently. And, one of my clients said that, hey, I'm happy that you're not selling positivity and motivation to me, because I mentioned that I'm going to first work with you. That it was related to searching identity and basically understanding what and why matters to client. And I said, all you need to do is, how to climb the stairs. I'm just going to help you to take some excess baggage off.
That's a great way to do it as well.
Yeah, so that works very well.
Awesome. Let me, before we go on with the why it matters, there is something that I really love about the way you give your presentations and your coaching. And that's how you bring in your storytelling.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this before, and what a valuable tool it is as a coach, as a motivator, to be able to capture people's imagination through a story.
Yes.
And can you just explain to us, and especially to my listeners, what the power of the storyteller really is?
See, the storytelling has a prime purpose, okay? It's not just for entertainment. It has to primarily do two things. One is it has to evoke emotions, and it has to provoke thoughts. Both these things should happen. You can't just evoke emotions,
Yep.
You have to even provoke thoughts. And this, what happens is, basically you are connect to, just to say simply, both the sides of brain of person, So emotion as well as logic. And that actually starts a transformational shift internal for people. So it's more of that inward shift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all like stories, we like stories ever since we were kids, and we still love stories. And what we do in our normal life, even when we come home from work and somebody asks you, how was your day? You start telling a story, When somebody asks you, how is your new boss? And what you do is you give a story, So the storytelling, when it is used as a technique, what essentially you are doing is you have a metaphor in mind, you have a learning in mind, but you want that to be simply unfolded. And hence you choose the right story. And you see, people are intelligent enough, they understand the message, you don't have to be very explicit. You tell the story and let them have their own revelations. It is absolutely brilliant if people have their own revelations and say, hey, you know what, Ani, I've understood this now. probably I may not need you. And I think that's a happy moment for me. So the client is not dependent on me.
I think that is such a valid point there, Ani, because so often I've heard of clients, and you've probably had similar, who'll come along to you and say, well, I've been with a coach before. In fact, I've been with the same coach for the last 2 years, and we just don't seem to be able to get through to the problem. And I often think to myself, it should not be a codependency or a dependency between the coach and the client. And the way you're describing this is that, you are really able to get rid of that and incorporate your story and, really get the client to be independent of you.
Yeah. And Rod, actually, I'll just draw your attention as to why it is so, and actually that connects to why it matters to me, why it's so important to me. Yeah.
Yes.
And then it can get into our subject as well. See, I describe you that the 5 sort of colors and 5 different things that blend in me as a person. I see myself as to be a very simple instrument of universe, So you call universe, God, whatever one's faith may be. I am grateful to, universe that life happened to me the way it happened. And it also comes with a great sense of responsibility, that I have not only to continue my journey, which will continue till lifelong, till my last breath, but in the meantime, I have a great opportunity to use all these colors that I was lucky to experience, blend them together, and have some enriching conversations with my clients, so they can resonate and reflect. So I can be a good mirror to them, So after that, either their soul can dance or they can be still in calmness, it's completely happy as it works. I have no problem. So I'm actually fulfilling my own true calling here, to be that instrument, that facilitator, translators for other people, whatever you may call it. So if I'm a pen, people can write well. If I'm a flute, people can play music. If I'm a brush, people can paint. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So, and I'm using the word instrument here rather than medium, because then I'm not into any, I'm not a psychic or anything. I'm just saying I'm an instrument of universe, and I have to fulfill my true calling. That's all.
And that is really the crux of the matter. For our listeners, another reminder that our phone-in number is, if you're international, 1, then 347-637-1960. That's 1-347-637-1960. And both Ani and I would love to get people to be participating in our conversation here. Okay, Ani, so as we go back through it, let's just go back onto the why it matters part.
Of course, yeah.
And, why it matters is really what motivates us. It's what makes us get up in the morning. It's what makes us go to work and to follow through on our different activities.
Okay.
And so what I would ask you is, how would you explain the why it matters?
Rod, I think the answer to this question is in 2 parts. One's easy part, and the second one's funny, And the reason I'm saying funny is probably I'll explain it such a way that it will make you smile. Yeah. Now, first, the easy part, which is hidden in your question itself as to why it matters. The first why.
Yes.
Let us notice what happens when you say why. Normally, when somebody asks you why, you go, and we probably lean backward, if you're sitting on a chair. And I'm sure we do that all the time in life when somebody asks us why, What's really happening here is whenever this question is asked, you go inward and you go backward. Yeah. So when you go inward, you explore your identity, your values, your memories, all your experiences. Yeah. Because you're trying to relate to something that, it's your core definition as a person. Hence, you go inward. You also go backward. And when I say backward, you go backward in time because you're trying to relate it to something in the past. So, that's why we start thinking. We try to access our memories. So, Let's say if somebody asks you, hey, are you happy? And I will go back and say, you know what? As a 10-year-old kid, I really wanted to do this. I wanted to be a physicist, but look what I'm doing. I'm, working in a bank. So this is what exactly happens when you ask this question, why? So that's the easy part, I would say. Now, let me come to the funny part. Yeah. Do you agree to what I said just now, the first part?
Definitely.
Yes. Now the little funny part, and I'm only saying this because when you decipher it, it will make you smile. See, when you say why it matters, it is a sort of incomplete question. It completes itself when you say why it matters to you. Yeah. And then I wonder, who is this you you're talking about? Is it the real you, that somebody who just went inward and backward, probably tracing some childhood memories or some aspirations of youth, yeah? Or somebody who is now in this new world, following established norms, battling with perceptions, interpreting the complex world around it, and you start wondering, I know what matters. That matters to someone, but who is that, Is it me of that past or is it me of that current? You see I'm connecting the dots here?
Exactly.
So it becomes a bit, this kind of conundrum. What I'm alluding to, Rod, here is, see, all of us, one common thing that we are all looking for is, we look for some fulfillment, Each one of us have some unique talent, some unique sense of purpose. What is my sense of purpose could be different from yours, could be completely different for the listeners over here. But something that truly defines us is when we find that true purpose, that makes us happy. That's what matters. Yeah. And it is only when you find that purpose and you also do that, then you truly become happy. Otherwise, many a times, Rod, my experience has been, and I may be generalizing here, but in most cases, we often fall prey to false sense of purpose. Something that is defined by others. So, for example, one of my client used to really pride himself and he as a good manager, and he was, he always used to say that my boss says I'm a really good manager, that's what I am. And I asked him that I actually see you as a wonderful friend, and that's what your core quality is. What do you think? And he said, you know what, I've never thought about this. A lot of my friends say that I'm really a loyal friend who cares, shares, and but all along, his entire identity, why it mattered and what it mattered to him, was built by perceptions built by others.
That's so true. And, a lot of times when I ask people, well, why does it matter? They're not really looking at their values. They're not really looking at what it is that is deep in their core that is making them motivated towards what they're doing. Absolutely. And I think that's what exactly what you're saying is we're enabling people and empowering people through our coaching to make that connection and to come forward. As you've said there, we often don't see the wood for the trees in a way.
Yeah. Okay,
and so what do you think is really getting in our way when we're trying to make these connections?
Interesting one, but not difficult. First and foremost, what gets in our way is we ourselves. The first.
Yes.
And once we have done that, once we got in our own ways, then we let the world do that too, funny enough. See, and how that happens is, in most cases, Rod, we get defined by perceptions and measures of success. These are established by others. So, it could be peers, it could be friends, it could be your profession, your, at times, family, even your role models. Now, all these are lovely things and they are, great motivators and they connect us to life. But what often happens is we lose balance. And when we lose balance, and when I say lose balance, is we lose balance in the harmony and connection to our own self.
Yep.
When that connection is lost, you are out of harmony. You're out of harmony, you're sort of leading a non-congruent life, which means you are someone, you want to do something, but you are doing completely different. Now, this incongruence we carry as weight and baggage, and most of us know it. if you ask somebody that put their hand on heart and say, what is it that you wanted to be as a 10-year-old kid? And they will all have probably different answers. There'll be many people, you will see, you may get 10 examples who are doing something contrasting. You will also get 10 people who have actually done that, what they really set out to do. And you will notice the difference in happiness. Yeah. So,
yes.
And what happens also as we grow up and, this process of life continues, we sort of convince ourselves that is our definition of happiness. That is our level of fulfillment. That is our level of blossoming. But it is not so, because in the later years, you keep going into that. Remember, I said you go into that inward and backward mode. That, hey, I wish, I mean, how many people, I will like to give you a test, that you ask some of your clients that if you were to restart your life, what is it that you would change? Yeah. How many people would actually say, not a thing, it's exactly how I wanted? Yeah. They may say it because they want to sound right, but internally they may not be congruent. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
In a way, yeah. But I look at my life,
yeah, and
I often think to myself, okay, I would like to change certain things.
Yes.
But if I did change them, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Absolutely.
And it's some of those troubles, some of those things that you've lived through, that make you who you are.
Absolutely. They define you. I mean, that's your construct as a person,
That's right.
And what I'm pointing to is that if you have to search your core at why it matters to you, you have to first start breaking these perceptions, that you surround yourself with. And the reason I'm saying perception is, more often, we do get defined by these perceptions around us. And this could be of success, achievement, recognition, power, fame, money. The list is endless, Rod. All these are outward perceptions. It is when we start convincing ourselves that is the way we measure ourselves in. Now, for some people, it is right.
Yeah.
They are leading congruent lives. I have a wonderful friend. He runs a small business. Yeah, he's my client. And he said that right from my childhood age, all I wanted to do is I wanted to be rich. And rich he is. And happy he is. Yeah. So he has no qualms about, sometimes if he makes any mistakes, does something that he shouldn't do. But his goal is clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for many people, the want is different. Some people want a good, stable family life. Some people want peaceful life. People want their dreams to be fulfilled. Yeah. And they may not just finally reach to just riches of wealth and money. Yeah. So I often appeal to my clients that you go inward and search what that core was. And don't just get bogged down by these modern definitions of success. These are there. They're all important. They're all good. It takes a lot of hard work to be successful. It takes a lot of determination to be successful. It takes a lot of commitment. Yeah. But what success means to your role model A is success to you then. Yeah. So that's the question that they ask.
And that's so true. I work a lot with teenagers. I've worked a lot with the 13 through, I'll say young people, so up to 30.
Yeah.
And so often it's really that they're trying to meet everybody else's expectations.
Absolutely.
Of who they should be and who other people want them to be. And they're not congruent. They're not happy because that isn't them.
Absolutely.
And it's the source of so many issues for people across the planet.
Absolutely. I mean, in Eastern philosophy and spiritualism, there is a nice word for it. It is called blossoming. Yeah. And whenever you think of blossoming, you obviously think of flowers. Yeah. Because that's natural, isn't it? But I believe so is true with us as human beings because we are part of nature. Imagine tomorrow if a flower decides to be a AAA battery cell. It can't be. It is supposed to be a flower, and when it flowers fully, it will blossom and spread the fragrance. It will look beautiful. It will make people happy. so is true with us as well. What happens in the process of growing up, we often, we take some exits on that road. And we take convenient exits. We coach ourselves that these are nice, they are good, and look, so many people are doing it, and we train ourselves to be happy. And then comes a time in life later, we think, I wish I had not taken that exit. It has given me a lot, and I'm very grateful. I'm very happy for it, but I wish I had done something else. I had taken some other exit. So that's the constant battle. And I mean, most of clients that I interact with, I think I mentioned earlier, that what my specialization lies in is actually helping people discover their true potential, aligning them to who they are. And it's not easy, to just search who they are. You have to throw away your armors. You have to throw away, all your prejudice, your beliefs. Yeah, you have to embrace acceptance of life as is, and you have to start going more inward and question. But once you start that, once you take some step-by-step journey, you find people taking some incredible decisions. And their definition of success for themselves changes. The way they look at themselves and the way they look at outside world changes. And after that, the happiness, their intention, their joy guides them. It's a beautiful journey to witness and be part of. I mean, I obviously consider myself very privileged to be part of such journeys of so many clients. It just makes it's a wonderful feeling, Rod.
It really is, and it's something that for our listeners, it's a privilege for me as a coach, and I'm sure for Ani as well, it's a privilege for us to be part of your journey.
Absolutely.
Because we are just the guide. We are the Sherpa on the guide. And we can give our clients the pointers and the encouragement. But the bottom line is we can't do it for you. The client has to take it upon themselves and make that first action. And no matter what we say, it's not going to happen unless the client takes that action and initiates the steps that they have to do. So, I think that's so true, that the energy that you get from sharing these journeys with your clients is absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
And, Rod, I mean, just while we are on the topic, just before this show, I just come home and I was watching telly. And I came across a wonderful example that I wanted to share. It's nothing to do with UI or coaching or anything. I mean, largely on this topic, I've spoken about why it matters, because it all points to the fulfillment that we are looking for, all of us. Our method could be different, our outward world could be different, but finally we are looking for that fulfillment. I was watching on Discovery Channel or maybe National Geographic. There was a story about a car maker. Okay, his name is Christian Koenigsegg. I hope I say it correctly. It's a Swedish name, Koenigsegg. Okay. And I probably heard 3 minutes, and it sort of stayed on me. I'm just thinking about it. That he was narrating a story that when, as a 5-year-old kid, he watched a film. And the film was about fast cars and some Grand Prix races or something. When he came out of that cinema as a 5-year-old kid, he decided, you know what, that is my true calling. That's all I want to do. I want to build fast cars. And he wanted to build a fastest car, like a supermodel in this, of posh cars.
Yes.
After 21 or 25 years, he's fulfilled his dream now. Makes, handmade car, custom-built car. So I was just watching this documentary, so even I learned about it a few minutes back. And I could, while he was talking, I could see the sense of joy, that sense of alignment, a congruence in his, what he is and what he's doing. I mean, that was all visible on his face. You could see that this person is following the journey of blossoming.
It is, and it's a fascinating, as you say, you really see it physically as well in the expressions of the client, and there is nothing quite like it.
Absolutely not, And one more thing, while we are on the topic, Rod, when we talk of why it matters, I have often seen people talking about two other things. what matters and how. It's all into the domain of doing stuff. So a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about what and how.
Yep.
And they think that if I correct this, what I do or how I do, maybe something will happen internally. And they don't realize it's actually reverse the journey. You have to start from why first. Yeah. You have to get that harmony, alignment clear first. Once it is there, it automatically guides your what and how. You can't start from what and how and reach why.
Tell us that again, Ani, because I think that is so important. And just really kind of emphasize that again for us.
Of course, yeah. So what happens is a lot of people spend a lot of time talking about what and how. Yeah. And that is all about doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people think that when I focus a lot on what and how, it will make some inward connection, make me happy, yeah? And my why will be answered. It is actually reversing of the journey. You have to first get to the core, why it matters, your intention, your alignment, your harmony. Once you do that, what and how happen automatically.
And that really is so true.
Yeah.
And there are many tools that you can use to help you unveil the why it matters. I mean, I always like to use the metaphor of peeling an onion.
Yes.
When you have a client or when even you're inwardly looking to yourself, it's rather like peeling an onion. It's one layer coming off another until you get to the center. And there are a number of tools that the professional coach has at their disposal, as well as their life experiences. Yeah,
absolutely. I use sort of similar techniques, but they're fairly elaborate because, you are, while this transformation shift happens in client, sometimes it is an aha moment, and it can happen just while driving a car, you suddenly know it. Yeah.
That's right.
That's it, you're on the run. Sometimes it takes time. So often what I start building with my client is I try to rekindle their lost curiosity. Yeah. And the reason I do that is to slowly take their bias and prejudices away because, you have to break the perceptions and conditioning that has become so hardened. Yeah. So it's almost like we know all the problems and we try to give the same answers because it's all conditioned. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a saying that used to be quite popular back in the States when I worked there, that children enter kindergarten, nursery for our European colleagues. They enter there as little question marks. Why? How? Are we there yet? What's happening? And yet by the time they graduate from high school, their full stops, their periods, they've stopped asking. And so much of it is that the system isn't designed to keep that curiosity going.
Correct. Yeah.
And that as I look back on my education, not only my formal education, but my life education, the biggest learning points have come through being curious.
Absolutely. And the people have to understand it is being curious. It is that passionately inquisitive. It is not a sense of doubt. You are allowed to be curious because if you're curious, you're very pure in your heart. Yeah. Because you want to learn. And when you want to learn something, you are naturally grateful. If you are doubting, which means you have your intention is impure then. Yeah. I had a good example today. I was with one of my clients and we were exchanging emails. And something that I said probably was not understood clearly by the client. And she sent me a reply saying that, I'm so sorry, you wrote it correctly. I made a schoolboy error. And I met her later. It's so easy to assume that schoolboys make error. Actually, they don't. We live in the wrong world thinking that's the error.
That's right. That's right.
That's not an error.
That is so true.
And so one is embracing curiosity, and second, what I advise, why I do this kind of technique use this technique with clients, is I ask them to embrace curiosity. We do lots of exercises and stuff, mental exercises. I ask them to imagine their life as a suitcase, and ask them to go into it with curiosity. because then you find lots of different dreams and experiences from the past. And then I ask them, if you decide to travel light, if you don't have a check-in luggage allowance, you have only cabin baggage, what will you carry? Because that's what matters to you. Yeah?
Exactly.
So let's leave the excess baggage behind. That doesn't mean, you're going to run away from your duties or anything, but don't get bogged down with it. Let's train ourselves to travel light with that. Yeah?
That's it.
And then be fearless. Don't be worried about what world will say, because that can kill so many things, what world will say, Just carry on. Yeah.
That's right. And it is so important for us all to take that lesson. Okay. I would like to, at this point, basically go ahead and begin to wrap up our conversation.
Okay.
For those of you that aren't aware, I'm calling in from the UK as well. I'm based in Scotland, in Dundee, and my colleague Annie is based in Manchester. We both have international clients and work with them through Skype or Google Hangouts to give that one-to-one personal coaching. And as I bring the show to an end this evening, what I would like to do is, as Annie has said, encourage you to be curious, encourage you to really work with the tools that you have. And please think about it, consider how to reach out and how to reach within, because there is so much that you have in potential. And I'm well over 21 by now, and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And it's that curiosity inside me that's saying, what's around the corner? What is coming next? And Annie, if I could ask you, for people that have listened to the show, what would be the one thing that you would like them to take away about coaching and why it matters? And then how can people contact you? So if you can kind of answer that for us, that would be wonderful.
Just one question. Is this a message for coaches or clients or people? What is it for? So
there are both that are listening. We have clients as well as coaches that listen to the show.
So the first, and I think the most important message is that do not see anything as the destination. See it as a journey. When you take it as a journey, because life's a journey, nature is a journey, universe is a journey, you automatically are congruent with nature and surroundings around you. That will introduce harmony in you. When you start embracing that journey with a spirit of curiosity, automatically the positive intention will guide you, and you will start conquering more and more destination, not just one. And it is not about celebrating destination at, victory at each destination, because there is no end to it. You can still continue your journey.
That is so true. And life is a journey.
Absolutely. So why it matters is we are all looking for fulfillment, and that fulfillment is, interspread along this journey. If you keep your heart open with very pure intention and mind, have a spirit of gratefulness, compassion, and align yourself. That's living in harmony. That's why it matters.